The wake was silent, the kind of silence that weighs heavily on the air and makes even breathing seem like a mistake. People passed by the coffin one by one, leaving flowers, tears, and memories. But Lucas, the eldest grandson, couldn't get close. He watched from afar, his hands trembling and his heart racing. His grandfather, a reserved man, never talked much about the past. He always said that some things should be forgotten. But that afternoon, something caught Lucas's attention, a small white envelope partially hidden among the flowers inside the coffin. None of those present seemed to have noticed. He hesitated, looked around, and when no one noticed, he reached out and carefully took it. His name was handwritten on the front. In handwriting he would recognize anywhere. It was his grandfather's handwriting. Lucas waited until the wake was over. He put the envelope in his pocket and left without saying a word. At home, he sat at the table, turned on a dim light, and stared at the piece of paper as if it were breathing. The edges were yellowed, and the glue no longer held well. For a moment he considered not opening it. Perhaps it was something he shouldn't know, but curiosity was stronger than fear. He broke the seal and began to read. The first lines were simple, written with the calm of someone who knows their time is running out. His grandfather spoke of regrets, of past mistakes, and of a secret he had carried for over 50 years. A secret that, according to him, he had never dared to tell anyone, not even his own family. The letter began to change tone. The grandfather recounted that, before meeting the grandmother, he had fallen in love with a woman named Helena. He said they lived an intense but impossible love. Helena disappeared shortly before his wedding, leaving only a photograph and a promise. One day, when everything is at peace, you will know the truth. Lucas felt his heart clench with each line. The grandfather spoke of a child, of a difficult decision, and of something done in secret to protect everyone. At the end of the letter, there was a sentence that made Lucas's world crumble. If you are reading this, it's time to go to the address on the back of this letter. There you will understand who we really are. On the back, an old address, in a small town more than 300 kilometers away. Lucas was in shock. His head was spinning, his hands were sweating, and tears came uncontrollably. The next day, he got in his car and followed the address. Each kilometer felt like a weight, and each memory of his grandfather came like an echo. When he arrived, he saw a simple house with a rusty gate and closed windows. He rang the doorbell and waited. An elderly woman opened the door. Her eyes stopped on him as if she had recognized something. Lucas introduced himself, mentioned his grandfather's name, and her face changed. Tears came even before words. She invited him inside. Inside the house, time seemed to stand still. On the walls, old photos showed a man identical to his grandfather, younger, smiling beside her. There was also a child in one of the photos, a girl. The woman, her voice choked with emotion, recounted that Lucas's grandfather had left that house more than 50 years ago. She said they had a daughter together, but he never knew. Helena, ill, had kept the secret until she died. The daughter grew up believing her father had died in the war. Lucas looked around, disbelieving. Then the woman showed him a recent photo. It was of a lady with light eyes with the same look as his mother. At that moment, Lucas understood. The daughter his grandfather mentioned was, in fact, his mother. And the woman before him was the grandmother he had never known. The silence that followed was crushing. All their lives, the family had believed a fabricated story to hide the past. The grandfather carried the guilt, and Helena carried the longing. The letter wasn't just a confession. It was a plea for forgiveness and a way to reunite what time had separated. Lucas stayed there for hours, listening to stories he never imagined existed, seeing photos of a love that fate had tried to erase. When he left, the sun was already setting, and he felt something different, a mixture of pain and peace. Back at the cemetery, Lucas stood before his grandfather's grave and placed the letter on the marble. He whispered that forgiveness had been given, that now he understood everything. The wind blew gently, as if someone had heard, and for the first time he cried not for the loss, but for the truth, a truth kept inside an envelope, waiting for the right moment to change an entire life.